Hey, what's up? This is Jessie Rodriguez Melendez from All Bases Covered, and welcome back to Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV channels 249, 250, and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. I am so excited. Finally, we are back on a new edition of All Bases Covered. And tonight I have a really special guest. I love women's empowerment. And I love that on All Bases Covered, we are able to highlight those that are specifically working in the sports industry. I think that this is something that often gets overlooked, and especially women in sports. And so I am so super proud to bring a fellow Latina on, someone who is passionate about fitness. As you know, my husband Tony and I are super passionate about fitness, especially Tony. And so I'm excited to have someone like this on with us tonight. So please help me welcome Karla Medina to the show. All bases covered. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I'm still, man. I was getting down. I was like,
Yay! So I have to give you the proper introduction, okay? So I just want to read a little bit about who you are, and then I'm going to actually have you fill us in on some of the parts that perhaps I'm missing. So Karla is a well sought after presenter on the Train the Trainer stage, having presented locally, nationally, and internationally, training other fitness professionals and enthusiasts. She is also well known for sharing her inspirational life along with its connection to faith. You got to talk to me about that in a minute. Fitness and business as a way of finding what moves people individually and collectively toward a better humankind. She is also the author of a book, Divinely Fit, and is a presenter and producer of a yearly Divinely Fit Summit. She is a heartfelt philanthropist and is consistently involved in hands-on community work. Girl, you are talking all my language here. Everything, fitness, faith, family, community. I love all of it. Tell me a little bit more about who is Karla Medina and how did you actually get involved in the fitness world?
Medina
Oh,
is just a faith
okay.
builder. That's who I am. Fitness, business, goal. I just want to build people's faith up thing. Because since wellness looks, I feel that people are, that's kind of what I felt like might get them to that place where individually, you need to be able to have faith
So
in
Karla, give me a
that.
second because I'm only hearing bits and pieces of what you're saying. And so I don't know if perhaps it's
Okay, let me see if I
Yeah, no. Now I can't hear you at all. So I don't know if it's something with
can't
your
hear me at all.
Now I can. Now I can.
Okay.
There
Can
we
you hear
go.
me better now or no?
Yeah, just a little bit. I don't know, maybe something with the way your earphones are connected to your computer or something, because I hear like pieces. I don't want to miss anything that you have to say.
The settings. I'm gonna get off of
Okay, now we're better. I can hear you now. Yes, it sounded like I was going to be able to hear what you were saying there.
how did you lose see you at all?
Okay, now I could see you. I see you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfect. Yes, wonderful. So start over again because I don't want to miss anything. So tell me, how did you actually get it started in the fitness industry?
Well, as far as when I was always a cheerleader into sport, I was an athlete and ran track in high school. Going into the police department, I wanted to make sure that I was like I was just surpassing all. So I got really into that at that point into the police department. and I went to midnights, and I gained. So when I gained 80 into an incident where I almost lost my life, and what brought my
Mm.
faith and fitness together, it was allowed me to not, and then what was I going to do with my health and my wellness? Passionate was I going to be about sharing that with other people? So that's kind of an eerie story, but the truth.
Yeah, and I love that you brought your faith into that, because I think that sometimes we miss that, especially I think as Latinas sometimes we're ashamed to one talk about, these conditions that we're going through, right? So whether it be mentally, I find that especially mentally, many Latinas are sort of taught, right, that we're supposed to be strong and we're supposed to, put our best foot forward and show up with our happy face, and oftentimes we we miss the message that we could be teaching someone else through our experience, right?
Right. And I feel that, this, you know, bringing people along because after to plant seeds, we're here for a limited time. And the day I want to make sure that an experience that, or, that I had trouble, generationally, other than dancing merengue and sweating up a storm, not integrated into our everyday lifestyle. So it's something that I'm passing on to my daughter, but I'm also other, especially businesswomen, because the entrepreneurs around, other women, they really all. But at the end of the day, the self-care process should not be just go, go, go. It needs to mind and body transparency.
Absolutely. And so I love the name of your company, Sudor Taino. How did you come up with that name?
So well, I wanted to be first, and then I said to keep myself, accountable. And sudor obviously is sweat in Spanish. Indians, since they cultivated Puerto Rico through their hard work, then I feel like that's the same bring to people going to the studio. We through sweat. So that's really the connection. The tribal music and lo bandore and bomba always integrated into our workouts. The foundational piece, I have a signature class because to me it was the study of the Taino. So it is a mix of uh, uh, tribal dance.
Mm. Did you freeze? Can you hear me?
I didn't freeze.
Oh, okay, okay.
Unless
I
I
just
went
wanted to make sure. I was like, wait, did she freeze? um,
back in
so
the
so I
day.
love
I did freeze.
I love that you describe yourself as a movement coach, right?
Yes.
So that's the expression that you're talking about. So moving the body, but moving it along with some of our ancestral kind of music.
Well, because back in the day, not to get logistics of it, but back what is called aretos, and aretos were like and where everybody came to tell their story without even, and you could tell if a person was sad, if they were happy, if they, and it was a place to unleash. So for a space I wanted to create.
And so how long now have you been doing this?
So I've been in fitness for 20, and I've had my place for a little, and like I said, I've been into fitness, but really was losing those 80 pounds, because those
Mm.
cycles, right, where they gain and they lose. So lose, I was plugging in those VHS bow in my basement, and then I actually to meet him at a fitness conference, and then he came down to one of us, and then he is kickboxer. So it is a way to get people together, and you don't really need to share everything and be in everybody's business. We're in this struggle side by side, hand in.
And I love that you just said that because we don't even know each other really. Like I actually found you through one of the women empowerment groups, and I loved your story. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I have to have her on the show." My husband is a kickboxing professional as well, and in fitness. And we've also owned like athletic facilities and stuff like that. And so when you just said that, I was like, man, it's crazy how people come together, and especially when you're in the same industries, and there's so much similarities. There's so much, that sort of drives us, I guess, especially too as Latinas, right? And if you're passionate about what you're doing, I mean, we bring that kind of passion into everything that we do. And so I love, even through the screen, I can tell like what type of energy you bring to your classes. Your classes must be so much
They're
fun. um
fire. They are fire. And not,
yeah.
not only that, to do is also I train I police recruits at the Connecticut Police Academy
Mm,
to bring them a more holistic approach as well. I have my tribe, obviously, um, summit, which we just had, and bring other trainers and other skills in the area. Because what happens is I have to, at the end of the day, my body's breaking down. I'm close to, not only that, it's, I don't, everybody wants that spiritual nest, right? Not everybody wants, some people want to flip a tire, some people. So
mhm.
if it's truly about wellness, hey, I am not everything. I am not the, I need to bring as many fitness professionals together, exposed to something that might move them. So
Yeah, I love that. And I love you. I love you just said something that's key. And especially as business women. And this is something that I will point out because again, this is what my show is all about. That it's all about sports businesses and women in business, and how we can impact our communities and how we can use our God-given talents. And you just said that you're gonna be 50. You said,
well,
okay,
I'm close. Yeah.
okay. All right, and I just turned 50 this past November. I'm actually turning 51 this year. And I think that people miss, as we get older, it gets harder. And as business women, we should want to keep our bodies moving, not only because it's physically good for us, but it's also very good for our brains. It's very good for our sleep patterns. It's good for, our mental health.
So
It's
many
good for
different
our
things. And
hearts.
I think that the hardship of it all is, we have an obscured, uh, fit is. I've gone to fitness convention that is would be considered to be 100, like kill it, like do this dance routine, and or hit those burpees and do those, like, everybody's mouth is open. Not me. I'm used to that. And, and for me, it's just finding that niche. For someone may love to dance, and they may lose weight because they love to eat, or they love to drink, or whatever things they choose to be healthy in that way. They could outdance you. So
Right.
I think that if we, what wellness really looks like on everyone.
Yep, absolutely. And I always say that too. We have to find the type of workout that actually fits for us. Something we enjoy, something we can, stay consistent in. And we also want to have accountability buddies. It's nice to bring your friends along with you because you keep each other accountable. You do something that you're enjoying, together, and you push each other.
Yeah, I always give people advice when they ask, well, like, what I'm motivated every day, which is like, absurd you on this pedestal, like, oh, it's so easy for you. I don't want to work out some days. I don't want to do this some days. What I tell people is think about everything that you on a tool belt. You wake up in the morning. Sometimes I business podcast. Sometimes I want to. Sometimes I want to read the word. Sometimes I want to read or just want to walk, and I don't want to hear anything. I feel that if we start talking to people about having a routine, so to speak, everybody's, well, the only routine I have is for my skin because I wear sunscreen. I wear lotion. But other than that, it could be something different as long as you're implementing the thing feel good.
Yeah, and I'm gonna circle you back to faith because I love that you keep emphasizing your faith. We actually, my husband and I are also faith, and we're believers. And I find that whenever we bring God as our business partners, we tend to one not only get the best. I always call them God ideas, and we also have the best partner that anyone can have, right? And so,
Right. On our
to
ends, yeah. Some people who are not looking for that, it's a take to put faith at the forefront in this class. And I'm like, hallelujah, Jesus, that type of environment. It is an environment that people greet you, that people see you. We may cool down to these are the elements that make it, they should have God at the foundation, but down your throat, it's something that they accept it or or whatever the case might be. For me, husband who also teaches at the student, important that people know where we stand. That doesn't necessarily stand, but it's our truth. Share it and inspire people with it.
yeah, I
She's
love that.
smiling. Yeah.
I love it. Yep, I love it. Yeah, because listen, I think that in the world that we're living in nowadays, I think that people are, they feel like they need to be either politically correct about everything, or they feel like they have to, they have to put Jesus in a closet and say, oh, I'll only bring him out at the appropriate time. But for us too, as believers and those that are carrying this mission to be an impact in our communities, it's important for us to speak our truth. It's important for us to let people know this is, and like you said, this is not about you wanting to push anybody into, what you're believing, but it's important for people to know where you stand and why it's important to you. And I often say that
So
when we
remember
do that,
that people
God
have a
also
choice. They don't
aligns.
have to come to me into my place of business. They don't have to. And I feel like in the world that we're living, are speaking their truths, and I don't feel that people should find something wrong with and if it offends them, again, I'm sorry. It's not to listen to me, not to follow me, not to come in. And again, it's not something that's like hovering at, when people see me, they're like, they know what my work, because it's not just mine, it's a gift.
And
She's
so,
like, yes,
is this something that you're doing full time, Karla? Do you run your studio
yes,
full time?
because me and my husband, I'm fully have retired from the police department, and then I also
Mm.
work at the police academy, wellness workshops around, and like for instance, next for a global conference to train other trainers. A lot that goes into it because I feel like it's going and growing. Now, of course, if I do it at my tribe, I'm serving. If I do it at the police academy, that's wellness. That's another tribe. But if I effect on people and kind, then I need to go to where they're training, to have them also build philosophy allows people into a safe space in their class, explore that spirit, mind, and body relationship.
So it's truly a family business. You guys are running it as a family. Do you have children?
Yes, and it's so me and my husband teach there. We own it. My cousin really is a family business.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, and these are, I love that I can speak to other women that are, truly taking what their passion is and really making it into a viable business. What has been your biggest struggle in the business?
So obviously, then also one co from West Hartford, which had like a plethora. We ended up moving to the Berlin Turnpike in Berlin. But the next struggle as Christians, so struggle, and, and like I said, some races, some people say they embrace it, but they don't want to be scares them because they think,
Mm,
oh, I if I'm gonna be wearing long skirts. I mean, it's just these
mhm.
perceptions that you really down until they're ready to walk through that door. I faithfully pray. Me and my husband pray every night. And we even said, bring anybody to the door. And I have a client who's buying, and I'm guiding him through the workout. So
Mm.
is right now that's where I need to be, and I'm not really worried about affecting each person individually.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Now you said you run summits as well.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit. So talk to us about the summits. How do you put them together? Where are they run? And how do people get
So
involved?
about in 2018, I birthed twins, but I really didn't birth twins. I birthed and the book at the same time. I thought I was going to write like a fitness book, um, or whatever I thought I was going to write. And then, God said, you know what? Fitness is really about, I need you to be bold enough to change the order to spirit. Because if your spirit is healthy and good, and keeps you, it keeps your mind, your body will follow. So that's what the stories uh, that I went through in my life. I maintained myself in a spirit, mind, body concept, and then spirit, mind, body exercise at the end of it. So that's the same time the summit was born because I said, you know what? Then I need to affect more people than just people that are in the studio, and I also need to more wellness providers like I have a masseuse or a lady who sells seeds. The thing is I'm not just getting random vendors. I have to have a connection to the vendor, know that they're there, that they really can truly offer guidance or to the people that attend. So that affected on a big level. And like I said, 1 year we had, and then the past 2 years, it's been more about local. The pandemic, I feel like so many of us have suffered. It was time to put them on the stage. So I buy my instructors, and then I have presentations by instructors or fitness people from.
Awesome. And where does that usually take place? Is it in Connecticut?
So right, so the first it was at the Black Box Theater, the that's at Rensselaer's Field in East Hartford, Berlin. We've been doing it the last 2 years. We did outside. Again, coming back after the doors, and it's really like a festival. It festival, fresh feel where it has their chairs, their umbrellas, their tents. There's day, and then there's different presentations all day. Is a day where you can just dedicate it to makes you well or what you need.
Okay, we're back. You gotta love live. You gotta love live broadcasting. This is how it goes. Okay, so now I want to make sure. So if you're here with us live, please let us know if you can hear both of us well. I can't tell if we're having an audio issue. Because so Carla, I'm just gonna have you just speak a couple of words so I can see if the connection is okay.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Testing, testing 1,
Okay.
2, 3.
I can hear you. Okay, perfect. So you were saying about the summits, you were saying that you have other fitness professionals come, they join into the summit. Um, what are you hoping to accomplish through fitness in your community, um, now that we're sort of, let's hope that we're out of COVID, and that, people are now coming back out? Do you only offer like in-person fitness classes, or can they take your classes online as well?
Right. So then for people who still wanted to stay home and for the I serve, if you can believe this, I do unlimited of all my classes that I have in studio. So basically every class that I have in studio, I stream. There's a month.
Okay, awesome. Love
So
it.
that people go home and do whatever it is that they need to do, offering. And then if you actually your package to have also the option for, I feel like it's offering the best of both worlds for people. They say, I took you with you on vacation. So it's
Mhm.
kind of that option for people.
And now, are your classes mostly women, or do you service men and women?
Well, I have a couple. So, it's like this, you have a wife coming home, like feeling amazing, dripping, it's so great, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the husband's like, what's going on? So we do have like 3 or 4 couples, and then we have some like that come, but for the most part, I would say like not 80 are women, and then everybody comes is connected to someone that's there, so it's not one person. you know, it's usually about it, or they're coming with their son. It's basically by word of mouth because I've never advertised.
Mm, that's awesome. Love that. Um,
Well, I couldn't afford to, basically. Like, well, it's
Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah, yeah. And
of tough.
listen,
So
word of mouth is the best, because when you're getting those referrals, right? And so if you have a great referral system, and here we go, we're going to point out a couple of business pointers here. If you are a service business, the best thing that you can do is always provide an incredible referral service for the people that
yes.
are already there with you. So keep that in mind. If you're running a small business, make sure that your referral system is really tight, because I love referrals, because I kind of know then the type of, client that I'm getting when I get a referral from a personal client already. So those are my
And I
favorite,
usually
to be
follow up
honest.
people. Let's say they come into the studio and see they're like they don't like, I don't know, the class was too fast or it was too slow. I follow up with them, and they'll say more this, and I'm like, okay, we'll try this gym, over, or they're right in the same town on the other days, mainly all women. Some are looking for only women, and it throws them off. So everybody has something different. Again, if we're talking about true, then you have to be willing to give that referral about it, because at the end of the day, where you made that referral sold.
Yeah, so true. I always say the same thing. If you may not always be the best fit for someone, but if you're not, then make sure that you get them into the right hands, because you never know when that circles right back to you. So it's always good to keep in mind that this is not, we're on the journey together, that there should never really be a competition amongst, especially if you're working in the same community and trying to service the same, people within the community. And so it's always good to have that type of network where you say, maybe I'm not the right person, but let me refer you to so and so. And
I
and
don't know if you find this on your side. When you asked me, I was just rethinking about the struggle. When I started out in this, I was all about like, oh, I wasn't even, because I was just so happy that that people were coming in through the door. And I do find this, uh, that a certain others, and that meaning that Latina making as much money as other, whether it's a male that owns it, and it's things like that. So I do find that they're not way, and sometimes even moving the town around. So I did find that, and then cheap, it's hard to raise your prices when you figure out, and when you're trying to buy equipment and things. It's not to knock anything, but when you look where people place their value, like if they place their value going out all the time, and you raise your prices, then you might get snipped off. To understand
Mm.
that it's not personal, it's just how they are putting things in perspective right now. So I learned that, like people are going to do what they need to do, and that is why I have always maintained this, that this is always home. If you want that faith and fitness, you want that spirit, mind, and body, no matter what, through thick, through thin, through good and bad, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. And so again, I love that you're pointing out that for you, you understand the path that you've paved, and you stay very clear on the path that you've paved. And I think that when we do that in business, when we're very clear on who it is that we serve and with the mindset that we want to serve them, and when we're serving with a clear heart and a clear mind, I find that we align with those same type of people too. It's almost as if they're drawn to you. They're drawn to what you have to offer. And because we're in business, and as women in business in very male dominated fields, because like for my from
I'm used
in
to that.
my case, yeah. And I had to get used to the fact that I was in a very male dominated field, and that I didn't have to push my power around. I just had to make sure that I was respected in what I was doing. And as long as I showed that um I had our clients' best interests at heart always. And so that's how I gained the respect, really, is that I always made sure that we had our clients' best interests at heart. I always put them first. I always wanted them to feel like we truly were there to service. We're here to service you.
It
And
definitely,
so
it definitely can get jaded if you back to that purpose, because I feel like making this up, but it's kind of true, certain genres. But let's say I happen to be in what I can teach, but there's they were weightlifters, or they were just Zumba, and
mm,
then now uh, bungee jumping. You want to get clients. So I think that the advice that I would give to us people is, if you are accepting A, B, and C, then why are we doing this? Diminishes your A, B, and C.
mm,
Like why did you get into this? Because by boom, giving them your gift in these
mm,
areas. And a lot of genres because I learned in a freestyle mode, like a box. Like this is what's more like, this is the music, go make them sweat. I'm pretty good at that. And there's a lot of other, but what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people, what what their core values are, and then after the, if you have this value and that value by like starting to do other things in your business that or you don't want to do just because you think it's going to bring you more clients. That's one of the things that people listening can say, well, let's just scale it back, go back to the basics. And the I also did that for many years. People program, oh, we want on Mondays. I was killing myself because all these things, and then when I did the 5 o'clock class on Monday, one person showed up, and then when I did the running program, it's like all these things that you keep out, like growing and growing, but you're growing just kind of sporadically, not organically. Right. Just that's just something I wanted to share.
Yeah, and that's good that you point that out because, a lot of people want to scale. They say, "Oh, I'm going to scale. I'm going to scale my business." Well, when you're going to scale your business, especially if you're in this type of industry, you got to make sure that you're scaling properly, number 1. Number 2, know what your services and products, and do you have the staff to scale? Do you have the right people to scale? To come alongside you, and the people that you're bringing into the business, do they have your vision, right? Are they on the same mission as you? And so there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking at your business and you're saying, oh, I'm going to scale my business. And that's wonderful. Scaling is good, but we have to know when to scale, how to scale, and with whom to scale.
Even to scale back, because at the end of the day, if something I tried it for 2 rounds and I'm like, oh, because it's not working. It's not bringing the peeps, and then I'm losing money at the same time. So bye, Felicia.
That's right. You got it. Exactly. You have to know also when to scale back. When you say, okay, something's not working in my business.
Right.
I'm not serving the people that I'm really wanting to serve. It's not, my mission here is not being carried forth. And if it's not, it's okay as a business owner. That's what makes you the business owner. You get to say, okay, if this is not working and it's really not fitting into my mission and the people that I really want to serve, then I could pivot. I could make a change. I could do something else. Or let me go back to my foundation, right? Let me go back to the reason why I decided to create this business. Let me stay true to that.
I had mentioned, you were talking about like other, either female entrepreneurs. I also spent a lot of times because there's some people that drive that you do or not. I think they find the result of what you have, and the process is it can you don't know what you're doing, and I feel when I'm mentoring other people and they don't have the same to learn that I can only give them, and then it's up to them to take that and just work home. I'm not going to be disappointed because I didn't so much, so I had to learn how to 10%. You give me 10%, I'll give you 20. Then I had to learn that process. I ended up frustrated a lot of times with mentoring, and then they either let the project just gave up. And to me, within myself, to say it wasn't a failure on my part, I didn't want it as much as I wanted it for them.
And so how many classes do you generally give a week?
So before night, and I situation is that because there's some people streaming online, or because of the summer and then on the weekends, and then so it now 6 classes, and now we're like almost a little bit more than half of that. And again, that's where you have to sit working what's not working, and just those changes, be willing to step out and do that.
Yeah, and listen, kudos to you because a lot of people did not survive COVID. I mean, a lot of people had to close their doors. And so the fact that you were
Yes.
able to maintain business even through the crisis, you need to be applauded and you should be applauding yourself. I mean, what a lot of people don't
Not
understand is the fitness
but
business is a tough business
not
to be in.
closing, and a lot of people staying open. Less me, I like to be very transparent about that process. To like a lot of them had a certain amount. I mean, the 5 months that we were closed, it was, and because my rent still was due, all the property tax,
That's right.
everything was still due. And I know some landlord didn't charge them rent and all this stuff. I wasn't one of those people because I'm a sole proprietor. So one of the things, decision, and actually in June, our lease happened, everything in a trailer, and we started, God, if you want me to stay open, then I need money, and I need money fast. It was so crazy because I was sitting down, and the people that I do employee wellness and conjure up a program online, here it was. That was exactly the amount of money I need to get in there and to
Mm.
start all over again. And they don't want to talk about those things, but I'm very, the reason it wasn't easy. And you know what? Like I said, got hundreds of $1,000s in the bank, that it didn't affect hundreds of $1,000s in loans. At the end, we don't owe anything to anybody, which is a great,
Mm.
still be like scratching to the surface, to us. And that's really, really.
So I lost you a little bit there at the last like sentence, but I think I gathered what you were saying. Um, so what's the future of what you want to do with fitness and through your business?
So not putting what you just, because God has always come going, but I have a different direction for you. This year, I have gotten tracks for employee wellness, and then I have to go to Fit Pro on the global level, probably the height of any fitness instructor, right? It's like the Emmys for, for me, it's like just one pinnacle of like what you think you're supposed, and something else is thrown at you. And that, going back to just getting back to one training, because if that's where I'm needed, that's where I'm going to go. It really is not about a stand. It's nice, don't get me wrong, and opportunity,
Mhm.
because again, you even need a spot. Was my sponsor, because I have no sponsor to
Mhm.
go. I think God just knocked that door, and that's where it's going to be. But that I feel that I have in fitness is until I can't anymore, and until, because at the end of the day, every single opportunity, whether it's in a fitness class, at the grocery store, it is my goal to have that person leave different by a smile, a tap on the shoulder, to offer them comfort and motivate them and inspire them.
And so, I feel like I could spend 3 hours with you. I find your story just so fascinating. It's motivating, and that you're serving with your heart, and it shows. And so I certainly want to have you on another episode. We'll bring you back on. You'll tell us more about what you plan on doing with Taino. And yeah, look, here's the point with all of this. I love that through All Bases Covered, we're able to highlight folks like you, like Karla Medina, who is leading from the front, who is passionate about what she's doing and how she's serving her community. And so I am just so super grateful to have had you on with me here tonight. And I certainly do want to have you on with me again. And, I'll also mention you are my first guest. I didn't do the show for two. I'm super excited to have had a fellow Latina on with me and someone who is super passionate about fitness and keeping us healthy and, on the go and busy, because this is really what this is about.
Well,
And
well,
so you
thank
promised me you're going to be back.
Again, you and especially you and your husband, business with my husband, I understand that, that's such a beautiful, connotation. Like, wow. And, it just brings, again, a building. It just builds for me. Thank you. God bless you and your business and this wonderful show that you have. People need to know, people need to communicate, people need to hear all that good stuff that you're talking about. So thank you.
So the next time that I have you on, that's specifically what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how, because people think it's easy and it's not. We're going to talk about what it means to be in a family business together. So I will definitely be having you back on. And so this show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Make each day amazing on purpose. And remember to always stay unbeatable. I will see you next week for another edition of All Bases Covered. Go make it an amazing, amazing week on purpose. Thanks again. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.